So I am so excited to have Corry MacDonald. I just told her offline there's going to be so many exciting things to have Corry here today. But first of all, I have to say, Corry is with us today from Belgium. So if I could give you an award, it would be the farthest away. And so you just told me it's like 5 o'clock.
Yeah, it's almost dinner time here.
It's almost dinner time. It's almost lunchtime here in Michigan. But what a pleasure, because I always say I try and do a little research before I get online with anyone. And you and I have never met. I feel like it was such a joy to learn about you. But I want you to sort of talk about who you are, and you have such a, I talk about who you are personally too, because one of the fun parts of my research was all the different places that you have lived, which is, I think we're all having a little FOMO travel right now. Like, I just said to you, these are my 4 walls if I could only pack a bag. And so you've gotten to also live in some really fun places, and so welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. Sorry. I'm so happy to be here. I could feel right away it's going to be a great conversation the moment we met. And I never thought I would be living all over the world the way it all works out. We never know how our journey will go, actually. And it's even more amazing to me when I have been at home for all these months with all of the rest of the world. So I really value that time. And it happened quite organically, actually. Like growing up, I actually started when we were first married. My husband James and we had this sense that we wanted to go and not just travel through somewhere, but literally live somewhere, and how can we make that happen? So we were always curious that way. And the reason, if I look back and be very real about the reason I wanted to go, is because, like many people, that we were born in, I was born in a family with enough dysfunction in it that I just was like, I'm ready to go. And not knowing that if you don't heal that dysfunction, all you do is you go to Japan, which was our first stop, and you set up your family in a Japanese disguise. How nice
is that? Do we think that the old saying, the grass isn't greener? I often use that, but what you're saying is your problems go with you if you don't face your problems.
100%.
They travel the journey.
And look at me, like I decided I would go to Japan.
Right.
I'm 6'1". Like there's no connection. Like blonde, 6'1", and
you stood out.
I stood out literally, and yet all around me is like the best friend I chose happened to be my sister that I was struggling with. My boss reminded me a lot of my father. Like it all just is energy. I didn't know that when the new science shows us clearly, like when you take us down to the smallest quark, we look so solid, but we're these kind of vibrating oscillations, bits of universal intelligence. And that there is a universal intelligence, but whatever we're going to call it, whatever we grew up calling it, and it organizes, it responds to us. So even though my mouth was like, I'm getting out of here, I want to go on an adventure, my energy was just saying, come on over, I'm still Corry. So that took some figuring out. And what it did though is, and this is the essence of my work, sorry, it's like it took me down. I actually didn't acknowledge that I was waking up with severe anxiety for decades. I just thought everyone woke up. It's like I grew up in freezing winters with -40 that lasted till April. I thought everybody had winter that way in Canada, until then I got to Japan, and I'm running in shorts in February going, this was an option. So, but that's just one example, but with things like anxiety and waking up with panic, and that became my normal, that I would wake up, and it just intensified into depressions sparked by the births of my children. See, and then I'm isolated too. So I've now gone and taken myself out, and I'm alone there. And I was just really in a rough place for quite some time. I'm a slow learner, but when I get the idea that I could have another way, I go. And I went, and it was a beautiful experience. And I do believe that the universe has your back the minute you choose to up level, because you can dovetail with stuff that's up here. It's like heat rises. So
Right.
stop grinding and telling, that's when I realized the power of my art. I'm trained as a fine art, like in art and design, but that I dumped too, because I just, as many mothers do, it's like I'm busy, I'm over focused on kids, and because I was in fight or flight, I was seeing the worst case scenario. So I was really like tunneled down. So I finally got the awareness to go and talk to a woman, and I found a counselor who was also a foreigner like me, because I was trying with this within the Japanese culture, but our cultures were not in the same vein.
Yeah.
You know, I couldn't be heard, and I could feel that I still feel totally isolated because I'm not matching here. So I got online, as we started to do at that time. This is when I was a young mom, 30s. I'm like almost 50 now, so it's 2 decades back. And she says to me one thing that changed my life. She said a lot, but no, actually she didn't. I was saying a lot, and she said, stop. You're telling the same story. And how many years have you been telling this story? You're telling it so big, you're attracting it so big, and you don't even know if it's true. It's your lens through that story. And she also was an artist. She's a musician. And she said, Corry, you need to turn everything upside down, and you need to do the complete opposite of what you're doing if you want to have a different effect. It's so simple, right? But so
Right.
powerful. And then I would just listen, and she said, you have a little baby. You have a mobile over his crib? And I said, yeah. And she said, when you go to give him a kiss at night, do you take that whole mobile and just go like this to all the pieces? Or do you just go ping and the whole thing goes? I said, I ping. And she said, yeah, that's all you got to do. It's just you. And when you do you really well, and you become the true authentic you, and how you do that, Corry, is you stop this and you turn this around and you become quiet. You start the morning very quiet, whether you're a person of prayer or you're a person of meditation, or you become that. And she knew I was an artist, and she said, even pick up a brush and even just paint one color, one stroke over and over. Do something to bring you home to yourself. And then all those pieces will shift naturally. And some won't like it because they like you running around overgiving and being this, you know, because I had this beautiful mask that everything's fine.
I think, you know, and I've encountered this a lot as I've talked to people. I've encountered this a lot through this pandemic. I think this is a very much something that women go through, overgivers. I think it happens a lot in women who start families.
Yes.
I mean, I think we come to this maybe with whether it's baggage, whatever you want to call it. I mean, I'm beyond not a therapist, but I think we bring to the table in our marriage, you know, some of this, and then we start these young families, and then we start giving, and we, you know, sort of lose ourselves a little bit.
Definitely.
And then it catches up with us.
It has to, because it's imbalance. And everything in nature needs to balance out. So even though it was a glorious falling apart, and I would say those were hard years, they were beautiful. And what I learned from that is so much, because after I left her, I popped back on the train to go back. I was so, I'm a person who writes it all down. I was so curious I first time had hope, like maybe this is the door in, you know? And could you believe that was the earthquake in Japan? So it was stuck underground, trapped underground in this dark train for 4 hours in aftershocks. No control, right? I don't know, where's my kids? I was hoping they still hadn't left school. Husband, everyone. How's everybody out there? How's everybody out there?
And scary. Yeah, but no control.
No control. And like, I spoke Japanese enough then to know they're all saying this is the big one. But you know what happened is that very thing she said happened to me. So it was like a macro to the micro, like all of that was going on outside. But I thought, well, in a way, that's how I saw my life. But actually this beautiful silence opened up to me, this deep calm. Like I just knew that there's something much bigger than all of this. I felt my smallness, but also my connection to the vastness. It's hard to put it to words.
Well, so, I want to jump ahead a little bit because I know we could end up talking for hours. But so how do you take what you learned through that and what you're doing now? Because you took your own experience, which I think, is which is truly the authentic part of, now what you do, because you lived it, breathed it, and now you're helping others. So, your business, as they say, is a creative healer. So tell me a little bit about what, because we want people to find you and know about you, and you are an author, speaker, consultant, a consultant, but what does it mean to be a creative healer?
I really love this question, and that's why I share the essence of that story. It's healing is to come into that beautiful, to intend towards growth. And so what it is all the things, all the modalities after that point that I sought out, transpersonal art therapy, energy healing, cognitive coaching, all of those things came to me to fix me, but they also became things that I thought, this works so well. I never thought I could be a person who wakes up happy, with focus, with joy, with balance, and sorts out her life like in a flow. And I thought, this is something I want to do with people. And so every country we've lived in, I've had the opportunity to, in some countries it's opening up a physical studio where people can come in and learn. I call them in my book 7 power tools for leveraging your life's heaviest emotions for the ultimate art material.
So Corry, one of the questions, it occurs to me, because you've lived in so many different places, are we all alike? Or are we all, culturally, are us women all sort of screwed up similarly?
We totally are.
It's so I think about it like, and I mean this like, I mean this with like empowerment and love, because, you're originally from Alberta, Canada, living in Belgium, you've lived in Dubai, but like, I think like as women and empowering women, like if we all come together from all these different countries, I often feel like if we sat down, we all could have the same venting sessions, the same like
totally.
So like here you're before me and lived in all these different countries, and now you're doing these sessions really, and meeting with people like this, as we all are, we all want to see each other and hug each other. But I was online last night, if my girlfriends are listening, we all were having cocktails online, because that's what we have to do right now. They all live in my neighborhood, but I think like, across the globe, across the world, are we all moms similar, and working women similar?
It's such a good question. We really are, because though the shape and the colors might be a little different, there is this thing, and within all of us is masculine and feminine energy. But when we grow up, and that masculine being active oriented, like getting out there, working, doing these things, and the feminine being the receptor. Like if you think about us receiving and holding, making a baby, it's more quiet, it's more intuitive, it's more, and but it's also a holder. And as women, we have, in those formative years, like we really watched our moms, and usually in those generations, there was still very defined roles. And even depending on the culture I'm in, like Middle East, it's still like, come on, women, they're not taking the lead in the house. They couldn't, right? And if they do, so it's a lot of learning I've had from all these countries, but at whatever package it's in, it's that we're coming to know that, no, wait a minute, we also have this masculine energy, and we can learn to balance these. And we don't have to go from a place of I call it in my book, overdoing in 3 forms: over busying, over binging. I've taken all forms, by the way, and over giving. That's another one for
Haven't
mom.
we all?
Oh my gosh, for sure. And it's just because we don't know, we're so over attached to what's going on the outer.
Yeah.
And we haven't gotten to know that, oh my gosh, of this humming creative intelligence in me. So when I work with people, and this is the essence of my work and the title of my book, Life in Full Colors: Unlock Your Childlike Curiosity to Uncover and Activate the Creative Intelligence You Are. I love showing people, especially people who say, Corry, I cannot even draw a stick man. I wouldn't even know what to do with you. Because I was actually that one. I come from 4 girls in my family. Jody, the oldest, was the creative one. Shelly was the jock. Like, what the hell am I, right? So you just like, I tried them all on, but I didn't know. So no idea what I am. And so then it's so cool because people don't realize that if you take a break from that overly busy thinking mind, we have another thing. We have called a feeling mind. It's called the whole mind system. And when you go into this one, and a great way to go in, some people just can't meditate. They just can't. So if I tell them, okay, now you're 3 years old, throw your crayons on the table and just let's take whatever problem you got and let's throw it in the art. The art can hold anything. So then when you're free like a child and playing, how do you know what, like I tell people the crayons, to treat them like a candy store. Grandpa's taking you to the candy store and say, shh, don't tell your mama. Grab the ones you like. Your system all of a sudden starts to just grab and make something. As you're doing that, you're totally hooking up to the universal intelligence. So you're getting downloads of information, intelligence, potentials you didn't see before. Things start to connect in your synapses are like firing and wiring in new ways. And all of a sudden I have people sit up and go, oh my God, I've just figured out this next step. Or maybe not in the session, but down the road, things start happening in their life and they're like, wow, I just met this person, or even us just meeting, sorry. I'm like, oh, it's good we met, girl.
That's right.
Right. So then you move in flow state, and that is something accessible to all of us. So this isn't creative, as in make a Picasso and stick it on the wall. This is like, you are so powerful and you just need to know this. And that's why a few people said, Corry, write a book, because especially people would come to my sessions, maybe from corporate, they're burnt out. They're like, I want a new direction in my life. COVID now, what do I do? There is something in you that knows. How do you access that?
You have to access that and break it out.
You have to access that so that you can bring joy and meaning to your life. You don't want to just, otherwise we're creatures of habit, even if it sucks. Like
I think the creatures of habit lock us in more day by day. We're coming to the end, and I want people to know how to reach you. I definitely want to have you come back on, and we'll do that after the first of the year for sure. And I think like there's more things to talk about. I definitely want to have you come back on, and we'll talk about just different. We'll maybe pick a topic or two, because I think there's just so. There's so much to talk about, and I feel like we could almost pick a topic and just dive into that, or we can, I can go on and ask people what they want to know. But one of the things I love is this can be new to people. And what I love that you do is you do like a 15-minute free consultation, which I think is so amazing, because if people want to just know or hear without saying, pay me, just, they get to meet you for a minute. They get to hear a little bit about you and have a little bit of understanding. And I love that you give of yourself that way. And your Facebook post offers an amazing wealth of information. And I always love when people are resources. And so I'll just say it's creating healing with Corry. I mean, can't be easier than that. Except for I screwed it up, but creating healing with Corry.com.
And my name is also could screw up because
it's 2 R's.
Yeah. Mhm.
So, I'll put it up on this link
So,
for sure. But I encourage everyone to really go take a look at the information, because this might be a whole new sort of, I don't get it. And what I love is, yeah, you probably don't get it.
no.
And that to me is like the reason I do this. I don't want you to get it. I want you to learn about it.
Oh,
And,
good. Yeah.
like if you got everything, I told you from the beginning, like, why do it if you got everything?
Yeah.
So the idea is, today to learn about something. And so definitely go to okay, it's going to be a tongue twister day. Creating Healing with Corry, CORRY.com. I'm going to drink more coffee, as everyone knows, because it's only 11 o'clock here, not
Yeah,
5 o'clock in Belgium.
exactly. Just getting your motor started.
You
No,
and I are going to email one another,
yeah.
because we have
Yeah.
lots to talk about. You have a book coming out.
Yes.
You're probably going to cook dinner. I'm going to cook lunch.
Exactly. And your listeners have got busy lives, but it's such an honor to be here. And I know we have more to talk about, but
We
please,
will.
I want to welcome all your listeners. Do come, especially this time when things are really rocky. I've been there, and I'm grateful to share these.
I think all my listeners would be lying if they said they haven't been there. So, because we've all been there, and you have to start owning up to, like, we've all been there.
Yeah.
And I'm a big believer in we've all been there. And it's, you gotta, you gotta be positive, but you need help.
Yeah.
And there are different ways to get health, health and happiness, and get help to get through it. So, you and I will be emailing one another, and have a wonderful holiday season.
You too. You too.
Enjoy. I hope you stay put for a little while.
I think we're
Let me know
here.
your next city and adventure.
Yeah, for sure. And you enjoy yours too. Have a great celebration tonight. Okay.
Thank you. See you soon.
You take care.